Belfast's hit music station.
Blast106. How's it going? You'll speak Chris here on Blast106. We're going to get the band, our Crowns Band. How's it going, lads? Alright?
Oh, all good, Chris, man. Great to be chatting to you again.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you very much for coming back on the show. Tell us about yourself, how did you get the music and start out?
Well, I think, Kirby, you joined around, was it 2014 or 13 or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, and so we started jamming in the back of a pub in Cork around 2011. And, we didn't have any originals or anything. It was just a bunch of mates, really, just hanging out every Tuesday night, having a jam. And before you know it, we kind of had some original ideas together that were kind of, jammed out. And we thought, well, geez, we should book a gig. So there was this weekly kind of showcase in Cork, would happen in a place called the Crane Lane, called the KC Sessions. And it was run by a singer-songwriter here in Cork, Linda Cullen. And so I think we booked in a gig August 2011, and we decided to do our first gig as the Art Crimes Band. And sure, look, like a lot of things in life, people come and go. You're still getting your feel for things and seeing who's a good fit for the band and things like that. And we started gigging away in different bars. I think around 2013, asked Kirby to join, and me and him had played in a band, I think a good few years before, was it 2009 or something like that. We crossed paths and went our separate ways, but our paths were destined to cross again, I think, Kirby, so he came on board then around 2013, 2014, and that's how we got started.
And who's your inspirations?
So for myself anyway, I didn't like the inspiration question's always really tricky for musicians because it's really, really fluid and it changes almost as you grow as a musician. So I was always coming from from a guitarist perspective, you're coming from, I guess, your early Kurt Cobains, your John Frusciantes and Johnny Marr, going a bit further back. I always came from kind of old punk sensibilities and The Clash and what have you. But yeah, kind of coming from a singer-songwriter perspective, then trying to build up your writing chops. You had all the Irish boys at that time, Declan O'Rourke, Damien Rice and what have you, like that. So, but yeah, it's a really tricky one to pin down because you're coming from your own instrument, you're coming from a writing sensibility, and then you're coming from what inspires you to be in a band as well. So, I could keep you here for an hour or two on that one. So I'll give you the short answer.
And what's your creative process like?
Well, really, generally what happens is one person comes in with an idea, and then everybody else has their own idea started. Everyone else tries to change it. But no, what happens is, for argument's sake, our latest single, Neon Skyline, that was pretty much all Kirby. And he came in with that and pretty much knew how it was going to sound. And everyone then in the recording process brings in their own ideas and bits. But there's that way of working. And then another way of working is somebody comes in with a basic idea and a melody. And then, 3 or 4 of us will sit down with an acoustic guitar, a cajon, or something, or a piano, and try to hammer out a structure. So we're pretty flexible in how we work. There's no one way of doing things. Some of us are better writing in units and things like that. I know that's for me. I mean, I couldn't finish a song start to finish to save my life. But it's great when you've help in the band, and sometimes it might be a little team. Or like the most recent single, Kirby comes in and goes, "Hey, I got a new song. This is how it goes."
Sounds good, lad. Sounds good. What's the best advice you've been given musically?
I think it's a lot like it kind of boils down to the don't take yourself too seriously kind of thing. Like there's that and there's the gig often. Like you learn your craft. It really is like an old trade apprenticeship or something like that. You learn so much from like the actual live side of things, what kind of player you want to be. And that kind of bleeds into the not taking yourself too seriously thing as well, because as musicians, I think we're our own harshest critics, and that can be detrimental to a certain extent. So when you learn how to not take yourself too seriously, you can kind of start improving incrementally and not kind of flagellating yourself every Sunday after a Saturday night gig about things you could have done better and what have you.
Well, I think over the weekend I happened to be talking to two friends of ours who are amazing songwriters, Kevin Glavin and Tiz McNamara, and I was just kind of mining their brains for advice or whatever, and their advice was just keep at it, and you have to try and finish a song no matter what. So they said start with a melody, but don't give up on it, and just try to finish it through, even if it's not the song you intended in the end or whatever, but you need to see it through start to finish, and just start what you finish, really. Finish what you started, should I say. And that's really was their best advice. Easier said than done, says you. But look, it's a good goal to have.
What's been your favourite gig to date you've performed?
I'll leave Niall take this one first, because he's got an almost encyclopedic knowledge of the gigs he's performed. I'm kind of a blurry scrapbook guy. For me, I think my most favourite gig so far is probably the most recent one we played for Soul in the City Festival here in Cork. It's now called Soul Fest, but it was actually only 2 weeks ago, and it was our first gig together since the Jazz Festival here in Cork, and that was October 2021. And for me, why it was one of my most memorable so far was just, it was nearly a year since we were on stage together. There was great weather outside. It was just, the street was full of people on this lovely big stage, people dancing around, and everything was great. That for me so far is one of my most memorable gigs recently.
And what's your favourite song to perform?
For myself, let me see. So the new one, obviously, was kind of, it was one of those songs that I had a fairly formulated idea in my head of what it kind of should sound like to a certain extent, and then letting everybody at it obviously ended up sounding a lot better than I could have hoped for. So that one is kind of important for me to play, because it's harking back to what Niall was saying about the kind of making sure you finish projects. It's really easy to get wrapped up in the excitement of the drafts, but playing that song live is just watching something really go from start to finish. And there's a track off the first album as well called Cold Room that I love playing, because it's a funny chord progression, and it's one of those tracks as well that sounds very different in studio to what it does live. It kind of takes on its own live characteristics and changes quite a lot for a track that's been around since I joined the band and before I joined the band as well. So that one's a special one as well. It's a really good live track.
I was just saying that, because Kirby picked originals there, which I love playing those too, but I'll take the other side then and say, because there's still certain gigs that we do covers. And I must say, one really enjoyable song to play is sometimes we finish it at a gig, or especially when you get the one more tune shouted at you, is I Just Want to Make Love to You by Muddy Waters, which Etta James made famous. But there's something really cool about playing that at the end, because literally every single person, no matter what room you play, or what age demographic it is, they know every single word of the song and go absolutely crazy. So I for me anyway, that's a great song to play on stage.
And what's the last 3 songs you listened to?
For me anyway, I was saying to you just before we popped on there about getting married over the weekend. So
congratulations, mate.
Cheers, brother. When we were walking out of the ceremony, we played Close Handful of Friends by Five Ants off his, I think 2 albums back maybe, which is a track that I just have on repeat constantly. So I love that. I Want to Be a Cowboy by CMAT. I've been listening to so much CMAT of late, because she's pretty much kept myself and my partner going for through some of the COVID lockdowns. Her music was a ray of sunshine in a pretty wild time. And apart from that, more of an album than the track, but I've been listening to the Ghosteen album quite a lot. So that's probably the last 3. But again, we could be here all night talking about the last. Give me 15. Give me the last 20 tracks.
Go ahead.
And for myself, anyway, last 3 tracks to listen to is "Break the Man" by Tears for Fears off their new album, "Speed Your Love to Me" by Simple Minds, and "Space Cowboy" by Jamiroquai. They're the last 3 I listened to today.
And what's lined up for yourself, lads? What's happening with our Crimes band?
So right now we're just promoting the new single right now, which came out on the 26th. So full on sort of getting the word out about that. And Next, our next lineup of shows is at the Cork Jazz Festival down here in our hometown, and that will be the last weekend of October. So we have about that's the 28th to the 31st of October, and we have about 4 shows lined up for that that we're really looking forward to. So right now that will be it. Prepping for those shows, having some fresh material to go for it, and then when that's over, back into the studio and the heads down and back to the grindstone.
And what's your socials and how people follow you?
You can find us on everything: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, the whole lot. You can just go to www.theartcrimesband.com and you'll find all the links there, and we're all on streaming, Apple Music, Spotify, you name it, the whole lot.
And what do you call the song we're going to be playing from yourselves?
So this is the latest single from us called Neon Skyline. Came out on August 26th, and really hope you enjoy it.
Belfast's hit music station.
Blast 106.